It's that time again, folks. Boys and girls, adults, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to do picks. Don't take these picks to Vegas, by the way, but I'll tell you who I think will win and lose from all the major conferences. Coming up next on this week's edition of the picks. Coming up next, don't move a muscle. We begin the picks run where there are plenty of points scored. Last week in this conference, Texas scored 40 and still didn't win. This time in the Big 12, we'll start here at the 11 a.m. at the a.m. kickoffs in the Big 12, where West Virginia will be at Texas Tech on Fox Sports 1. Could very much be like what my Sooners, and the Longhorns went through last weekend, trying to get the feel for each other. But in the end, I think the Texas Tech's going to win this ball game. It's just hard to fly all the way out from Morgantown, all the way out to West Virginia and back, and Mahomes is going to be back to 100%. I think that they're going to be able to get this. The other AM kickoff is Kansas State and Oklahoma in Norman on ESPN. Now, obviously, with this going on, all the OU stuff going on, as you guys know, I don't pick the Sooners because it makes me sound like a homer every time I pick OU, and if they lose, I get blasted. And so we're not going to play that card. Instead, I'm going to do basically what Corso and those guys do. I'm going to tell you what each team has to do to win. And we'll start with my Sooners as the home team. What they've got to do is they've got to protect the ball. They had 4 turnovers the other night against last weekend against Texas. Texas was not able to convert a lot of those into points. Kansas State can convert those into points. Not that they will, but their offense is good enough to where the Snyder can slide on in there and trick you, and they can snake bite you if you're not ready. As far as Kansas State's concerned, force those turnovers. They have a good enough defense to where they can force those turnovers. As Kansas State offensively, what they're going to want to do is they're going to want to run the clock. Keep the clock rolling. They don't have the high-octane offense like Texas Tech, now Texas is getting into. They don't have that kind of high-scoring offense. They did score 34 points last week, though. But it's the running game that really sells on them, and the short passes, short to intermediate passes. Get those complete. As far as the defense for Oklahoma, what do they have to do? Be on your man. Play smart ball. And if you can, create some turnovers yourself. If you do that, Oklahoma wins. If you do it the other way, Kansas State wins. There you go. The noon kick, Kansas will be in Waco at Baylor on Fox Sports 1 at 2:30. The second Fox Sports 1 game, can you really go against Baylor at this point in Waco? Well, we're just going to leave it at that. The final game in conference, 6 o'clock on the Longhorn Network. Texas will try to bounce back as they host Iowa State in Austin. I think they're going to get this. They're not real great, as you saw. But as you saw with Oklahoma, if you leave the door cracked open, they can beat you. And Iowa State is not a surprisingly overwhelming team, so they can beat you. I'm going to take Texas. All right, the rest of the other games this weekend, if you will. Appalachian State will be at Louisiana Lafayette on ESPN2. I'm going to go with App State on Wednesday night. Thursday night football, 6:30. Navy looks for back-to-back wins as they beat Houston last week. Now they'll go on the road at East Carolina on ESPN. I'm actually going to go with Navy in this ball game. I know that they just upset Houston. They'll be a little uptight, but East Carolina is not the East Carolina that it was when Lincoln Riley was there at that point. They're still winning games, just not at that point. And I think that they can be, Navy can do enough to do it. Friday night, there's an ACC game. We'll start in the ACC, I'm sorry. Duke will be at Louisville on ESPN. This will be a fun basketball game to watch. But in football, you can't go against Louisville. Not this year. Not yet, at least. Deshaun Jackson is pretty darn good. The quarterback for Louisville. 7 p.m. ESPN AU. Memphis will be at Tulane. I'm going to go with Memphis. 9 o'clock that night. The late kicks. There's 2 of them. CBS Sports Network will bring you San Diego. San Diego State will be at Fresno State. I'm going to go with SDSU. And in the SEC, Mississippi State will be at Independent Brigham Young University on ESPN. I'm going to go with BYU. What about the rest of the 11 a.m. slates besides the Oklahoma and Kansas State and the West Virginia Texas Tech games? Well, they look like this. Lafayette will be at Army on CBS Sports Network. I'm going to go with Army. On the SEC Network, Vandy will be at Georgia. I'm going to go with Georgia. The ABC set will be NC State at Clemson. I'm going to go with Clemson. The ESPN2 game is Iowa at Purdue. I'm going to go with Purdue on ESPN2. ESPN News will bring you Illinois at Rutgers on ESPN News. I'm going to go with Rutgers. And finally, ESPNU will have Minnesota at Maryland. I'm going to go with Maryland on ESPNU. 11:30 a.m. I'm sorry. There's 2 ACC matchups. As Georgia Southern will be at Georgia Tech, the Battle of the Georgias on the ACC network. I'm going to go with Georgia Tech. They know how to win. I'm not saying that Georgia Southern doesn't, but Georgia Tech has a history of doing it. Also in the ACC, Pittsburgh at Virginia on the ACC network. I'm going to go with Pitt. 1:30 p.m. Eastern Michigan will be at Ohio. ESPN3, I'm going to go with the Bobcats. 11:30 p.m. Kent State will be at Miami of Ohio on ESPN3. I'm going to go with Kent State. And also on ESPN3, Western Kentucky will be at in Middle Tennessee State. I'm going to go with MTSU on ESPN3. The mid games of the major set, the 2:30 set, they look like this. On the ESPN, you'll start off with Wake Forest at Florida State. ESPN, I'm going to go with Florida State. ESPN3.com will have Ball State at Buffalo. I'm going to go with Ball State. Bowling Green at Toledo will be a ESPN3 game. I'm going to go with Toledo. Also, ESPN3 game, Central Michigan will be at Northern Illinois. I'm going to go with Central Michigan. And Louisiana Tech will be at UMass on ESPN3. I'm going to go with La Tech. The CBS game, Alabama will be at Tennessee on CBS Sports Network. That place will be a rockin'. They did play a playoff team last year in that stadium, and it was rocking and rolling, and they very well had them on the ropes. Oklahoma found a way out. Alabama always decides to lose a game early, but they get themselves back into the playoffs. That very well could be this game. They're not going to be happy with the way that Tennessee played. Tennessee, that is, not going to be happy with the way that they played against Texas A&M and Trevor Knight last week. Look for them to rally back, and possibly this could be that one loss for Alabama. So I'm going to go with Tennessee. Southern Cal will be at Arizona on Fox National. I'm going to go with USC. ESPN News will bring you New Mexico at Air Force. I'm going to go with the Air Force. The Big Ten Network will bring you Northwestern at Michigan State. I'm going to go with the Sparty. And Miami will host UNC on ABC or ESPN2. I'm going to go with Miami. The mirror game will be Nebraska at Indiana, ABC, ESPN2. I'm going to go with Big Red, go Nebraska. And finally, ESPN3.com will have Georgia State at Troy. I'm going to go with Troy. There is a 2:45 game, Virginia will be at the 'Cuse on ESPNU. I'm going to go with Virginia. 3 o'clock, Missouri will be at Florida on ESPNU. I'm going to go with the Gators. ESPN3.com an hour later at 4 o'clock will have New Mexico State at Idaho State. I'm going to go with Idaho State. 5 p.m., USA TV, you'll see Florida International at Charlotte. I'm going to go with FIU. 6 p.m., FAU, Florida Atlantic will be at Marshall at the BN Sports Network. I'm going to go with FAU. Fox Sports will have UTSA at Rice. Fox Sports Oklahoma, I'm going to go with UTSA. Ole Miss and Arkansas will be on ESPN. I'm going to go with Arkansas. ESPN3 will have Texas State at the University of Louisiana Monroe. I'm going to go with ULM. South Alabama will be at Arkansas State on ESPN3. I'm going to go with Arkansas State. ESPN3 will also have University of Connecticut at South Florida. I'm going to go with South Florida. And finally, ESPN2, Tulsa will be at Houston on ESPN2. I'm actually going to go with Houston in this ball game. But look for Tulsa to kind of keep it close. It's the same offense that they played against with Ohio State. Oklahoma did the same thing. Now remember when Tulsa played Ohio State, they kept it close there in Columbus. Remember that. So, while you're remembering that, also remember that the 6:30 games are on docket too. Southern Mississippi will be at LSU on the SEC network. Louisiana State, I'll take LSU in a night game any day, no matter the opponent. Stanford will be at Notre Dame on NBC. I'm going to go with Stanford. And finally, Temple, and they will be at Central Florida on ESPNU. I'm going to go with UCF. The nightcap, 7 o'clock, ABC. The Ohio State will be at Wisconsin and the Badgers. I'm going to go with Ohio State. 9:15, Colorado State will be at Boise State on the Deuce, ESPN2. I'm going to go with Boise State. Nevada will be at San Jose State on CBS Sports Network. I'm going to go with Nevada. UCLA will be at Washington State on ESPN. I'm going to go with the Fighting Leechers, Mike Leach, Washington State. And finally, UNLV will be at Hawaii on the Mountain West Network. I'm actually going to go with Hawaii in this ball game. All right, guys. Remember, don't take any of these picks to Vegas. I'm not a celebrity picker. I just pick these for fun. But you know what? If you do, I won't have the credit. Send me a check. You could do that, or you could watch me on the YouTube. Look for it, Boomer Sooner 1982, or find me on Facebook, Harry James Taylor, or tweet me at SoonerFanOK. All right, guys. Thanks for watching, and enjoy this week of college football. Should be a good one. I'm out of here.